In this episode, we focus on the red meat industry of South Africa and the factors that's currently driving it. We're also going to talk about why prices are currently under pressure and what we expect for the year ahead. All in this episode, so make sure to stay tuned. As an introduction to this video, I would like to mention that the RPO does not have the mandate to negotiate prices, as this can be considered as anti-competitive behavior. Market forces, mostly driven by supply and demand, determine to a large extent the price changes over a given season. I also think that this is the case at the moment, with lower demand and more supply putting pressure on prices. I also feel the effect of more slaughterings due to the foot and mouth disease outbreak last year is very small on the markets at the moment, with slaughter prices still relatively in line with last year's prices. Hi, I'm Dr. Johnny van der Merwe and welcome to the Red Meat Overview made possible by the RPO. From the producer's point of view, the red meat industry is currently under a lot of pressure in terms of prices, with weaner prices trading at around 18% lower than a year ago, while lambs are around 14% lower year on year. These lower prices, together with higher fuel costs, higher feed and medicinal costs, and higher interest rates, are now putting pressure on the profitability of our producers. And that's not even taking into account the fact that we experience many limitations in terms of load shedding as well. However, I think the big question is, what got us to this point and what can we expect for the rest of the year? To understand the current situation and what got us to these lower prices, we have to look at what has happened over the last 10 years in the agricultural sector, not only in South Africa but also in Namibia. So from 2012 to 2019, we had below average rainfall in large production areas, which caused many producers to reduce herds or at least not to expand as they would like. As a result, cash flow was under severe pressure in 2019 when the drought hit its high and there was not a lot of veld available for animals as well. This led to more animals entering into the market and putting significant downward pressure on prices. As can be seen in the graph, 2019's prices were significantly lower compared to other years. The same situation happened in Namibia, of course, and we imported more animals from there as well, which put additional pressure on the price. Then 2020 hit us in all its glory. COVID-19 broke out, of course, which had a significant increased effect in demand for food products, but at the same time the drought also broke and we moved into certainly one of the wettest cycles we have ever seen. From a production point of view, more veld was available and we moved back into a herd building phase again. We also had some good seasons for the grain producers over the past 3-4 years, who invested a lot in the beef industry in particular. We should also not underestimate the effect of the game industry, with many producers moving back to cattle over this period as well, creating additional demand and pushing up prices further. Of course, all these factors caused fewer animals to enter into the market. There was high demand for breeding animals, and on top of that, demand from the consumer was incredibly strong due to the COVID-19 situation. We therefore experienced a strong increase in prices towards the end of 2020, which remained high in 2021 and 2022. Higher prices usually lead to higher profitability for these industries, which then also have an upward effect on input costs. Given these factors, I feel that we experienced a relatively good 2.5 seasons in the red meat industry in South Africa until November of last year. However, by November last year, weaner prices and lamb prices in particular started to decrease and have not recovered since, which is now putting pressure on the industry and making producers worried about where all these prices are heading, especially with the high production costs that we're experiencing at the moment. As discussed, supply and demand drove these prices over the past 10 years, and we expect this to be the case over the next 10 years as well. Beef and sheep are considered to be more luxury products, and less money for these consumers will have a direct impact on the price of sheep and beef products. We also have to take into account that over the first 3 months of each year, we traditionally see lower demand in the markets and therefore prices that generally trade on a lower level over this period. However, despite this pressure on prices, slaughter prices still remain in line with last year's prices, but I think we will remain below last year's price levels due to more supply in the markets at the moment and low demand in general. My feeling is also that we moved out of a herd building phase, which can be seen at auctions where ram and bull prices do not reach the same levels as last year in most cases. As a result of this, winner prices may unfortunately remain low for the near future, as we are now also moving into the weaning period and there should be more animals available over the next 4 months or so in the markets, putting downward pressure on this price. Prices may start to increase in August again when we see slightly lower supplies. However, if we move into a drier weather cycle again, this can cause prices to come more under pressure as more animals can be marketed. There is a slightly different picture expected for sheep prices, with slaughter prices that may only start to improve from April onwards, but once again the expectation is that we will come in below last year's price levels due to more supply and lower demand expected. We can possibly also expect better prices in August of this year when supply is slightly lower. When we look at the lamb prices for this year, some models indicate that we can expect higher prices from mid-March. However, I feel that this will only happen a little later as we still see high supply, which could mean that lamb prices can only start to increase from mid-April onwards and maybe reach a peak around June of this year. Again, I think that prices will come in below last year's levels. Given the lower price expectations and higher input costs, it is therefore important that producers also adjust their planning in such a way as to ensure that the sustainability of your business is ensured over the coming year and years as well, when profitability is slightly under pressure. For weekly prices and news in the red meat industry, make sure to follow AMT's YouTube or Facebook channel. This presentation is of course made possible by the RPO. I'm Dr. Johnny van der Merwe and thank you for watching.